Hello, I'm Antoinette James, reporter in He Whakaputanga jurisdiction. Welcome to Behind the Beehive, where I look behind the corporation jurisdiction's political show and try and reveal the truth. And we have just had a show, haven't we? It's very interesting that first we had our king crowned at his coronation, and then just a few days after we just go straight into Bilderberger conference. So I'm going to unpack that a little bit more today, look at what happened, where it was, what we might see in the venue that they chose this year, what are they all about, and what is the backstory. That is all very interesting. It was the 69th Bilderberger meeting that has just taken place over the 18th to the 23rd of May. This year it was in Portugal, in Lisbon. They all gathered there, 130 candidates from 23 countries. Don't think there was anyone from New Zealand there this year. I have been led to believe that John Keys ended up at least two of them, but really Bilderberger is about, I guess you could say, that Anglo-American alliance. I suggest comes out of the Rhodes agenda, his idea that the English-speaking elite were to rule the world. They were the top dogs, and that the rest of the world just needed to come in under them. So, of course, the USA is there. Of course, the UK is there. A lot of the candidates were from there, but also a lot from Europe, many of the countries in Europe, all moving towards a one world order with a one world dictator and a one world religion. Ancient mystery religion, sun worship. Sun worship is the worship of Lucifer. So who comes to these conferences? Well, it's by invitation only. Don't think you're going to get an invite anytime soon. They want the political leaders. They are wanting the experts. People from industry, finance, that means the big banksters, academia, those people that have done their degrees, they've got their bachelors and their masters and their PhDs. So those are the kind of people. Of course, media's there, but media's all hush-hush. But they are there as well because they've got to get that correct narrative, that correct news, that correct rhetoric out through our televisions and our newspapers and magazines and internet, etc., etc., etc. That's their job. Don't think they're our watchdogs. No, they're the elite's lapdog. When you look at some of the people that are on the attendee list, and they do publish that now, and you look at their faces, it sends a shiver down your spine, quite frankly. Bilderberger meetings run by is Chatham House rules. That means you can discuss anything you want once you're back there at home. You can use it to steer and drive and herd thought, change policies, but you never say who told you, and you never say who was there at that meeting with you. And that came out of the Royal Institute of International Affairs, or Chatham House. They're headquartered in London. It controls the CFR in the US because the US never won their independence and freedom. They still are a vassal under the City of London, under Britain. The Institute was the brainchild of Lionel George Curtis. He was a British official and author, and he invited the British American experts to become members of Chatham House at the Peace Conference in Paris in 1919. And that then, by the end of World War II, birthed the Bilderberger group. Carol Quigley, if you know him, he is the author of Tragedy and Hope, a socialist professor at Georgetown University before he died way back, He was taken for a ride. The poor guy died very disillusioned and forgotten and pushed to one side because hope and tragedy was a tell-all, and the elites did not like that. They removed it off the shelves very quickly. But this is what he says in his writing, The Anglo-American Establishment, page 63. Lionel Curtis is one of the most important members of the Milner Group, or as a member of the group expressed it to me, he is the Fons et Origo, the bigwig. It may sound extravagant as a statement, but a powerful defense could be made of the claim that what Curtis thinks should be done to the British Empire is what happens a generation later. I shall give here only two recent examples of this. In 1911, Curtis decided that the name of His Majesty's dominions must be changed from the British Empire to the Commonwealth of Nations. This was done officially in 1948. Again, about 1911, Curtis decided that India must be given complete self-government as rapidly as conditions permitted. This was carried out in 1947. So a very influential guy, bringing great minds, Marxist minds, great Marxist minds, psychopaths, if you will, together to organize the way the people of the world would be herded and the narrative they receive to keep them in Plato's cave, thinking this world is looking so great, thinking the history they are told is true, but it's all done by smoking mirrors. Anyway, the Bilderberger. The first one, as I've said, was in 1954, and we've got a few insider leaks to know exactly what happened there. Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands brought everyone together. Let's hear what he said when he brought everyone together for that very first Bilderberger meeting at the Bilderberger Hotel. He said this was a leaked conversation. Quote, "You may wonder why I have asked you to come here. I have in mind a completely frank and open exchange of views, and this is ensured to you, and it is essential for our success. There is no verbatim quotation of anybody, and there's no press, so you are quite free to let yourselves go, if I may say so." And he goes on. He wanted everyone to bring all their Marxist ideas and agendas and the ways they could see this elite-controlled world to take place. Okay, now there was another speaker. His name is unknown. This is what this unknown speaker said. "The pressing need to bring the German people together with other peoples of Europe into a single common market, to arrive in the shortest possible time at the highest degree of integration, beginning with the common market." So right there, in fact, before 1954, before that, even before the end of World War II, they knew the game was up. The elites knew that this one world order that they were hoping that Hitler was going to bring across the world was no longer going to happen, and they were already working out what would happen next. And during World War II, they were talking about pan-Europe, opening and bringing it all together, and basically a dictatorship. The EU always talks about democracy. That's to fool the sleeping people. Right, so it was 2 years after these words, these quotes in 1954, that the Treaty of Rome was signed. This always goes to Rome. All roads lead to Rome. So the Treaty of Rome was signed in Rome, Capitoline Hill, the ancient mystery temple to Jupiter, i.e. Satan. and most of the people that signed that treaty were Bilderberg attendees. Now, David Rockefeller, we know him, he died a few years ago. He was the mover and shaker pulling all this together. He was the face that we saw. And he spoke to the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberger group at an address in 1991. And this will give you a little bit of insight why we, the people, know very little. I quote David Rockefeller. "We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respect their promise of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us, the elites, the Bilderbergers, the Committee of 300, the Committee of 30, the Milner Group, so forth and so on. It would be impossible for us to deliver our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity during those years. Don't let the people know." He goes on, "But the work is now much more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national auto-determination practiced in past centuries." That's what he said in 1991. That's 30 years ago, is it? I think so. Already well sophisticated then. Time for us to wake up, push back, time to turn off your television, get off the sofa. Don't feel that there's nothing you can do. Don't believe futurist view or school of biblical prophecy that says that you're going to be raptured out before the rubbish happens. That was a Jesuit written doctrine. Don't believe that we are all going to hell in a handbasket and there's nothing we can do. That's futurist prophecy written by a Jesuit. Everyone prior to this futurist doctrine that was made popular through Schofield were historicists. So we know Bilderberger select all our prime ministers and presidents. Okay, let's have a look at the hotel. Where did they meet this year? In 2023 in Lisbon, Portugal. They met at the Pastana Palace Hotel because they're all little princes. Now, when you put that into your search engine, you will see beautiful pictures. It's palatial. It is lovely, very luxurious, high security, as is all Bilderberger meetings. It was open to the public, but they clear out the public. They even clear the streets of cars, of residents that live in this street. Get that out of there. You're not allowed to walk there. It all goes into kind of security lockdown where our rights are violated. Often there's armed guards. It is totally high security. So that's what happened around this hotel. But once you go into the hotel, and as some journalists were able to do, and once you do put the hotel into your search engine, a lot of esoteric symbolism just comes tumbling forward to give us another picture of elitist culture, which is ancient mystery religion, sun worship, Satanism. Now, it could be argued, well, Portugal is a Catholic country, so what do you expect? Of course there's going to be a lot of Catholic iconology, Catholic symbolism everywhere. Yep, that's true. But for the average Catholic, they see themselves as Christians. We're looking above that. We're looking at ancient mystery religion symbols, rife, declaring to the elite, those people that are in the know, those with the esoteric knowledge, what they are really all about as their culture, and who they worship. So some of the symbols, even as you drive one's car into the premises, you will see the fleur-de-lis everywhere. We know that is an ancient mystery religion. It's a sexual symbol of the gods, male and female, actually in the act of sexual intercourse. Most of us quite like the fleur-de-lis. We see it everywhere. For the esoteric knowledge keepers, this is what it is, because ancient mystery religion is debauched. In the foyer, there is a dome. At least I think it's the foyer. It was very hard for me to find exactly where that dome was, but I'm suggesting to you it's actually the foyer. So that patterns ancient mystery religion, that's sun worship, and it follows the Vatican with the dome there. Paintings on the ceilings are beautiful paintings, but all look to be mythology, Greek and Roman mythology, the gods, ancient mystery gods. There is one particular painting that is just outside the dining hall, and I'm not sure. It could be Bacchus, the god of partying and drinking and debauchery, or as Dan Dix suggested, it could be Pan. Beside him you see a bare-breasted woman holding her catch, and I think she's obviously been hunting, and I think that's Diana, and Diana is the consort to Pan. A lot of these gods kind of morph anyway. He is holding a lot of fruit in his hand that could easily be the fruit that you are going to make wine. So there may be a blurring of lines here. On his shoulder there is a hand, and when you look at that reveler, very ugly, almost a satanic looking, little goatee beard, very evil looking guy, just having his hand on. So that could be the shadowing of who these gods represent. There's only one face that looks at you, and that's one of Diana's maids. And it's a bit chilling, and it kind of draws you in. It's a bit about that kind of eye contact, and boom, you're drawn in. So it's a little bit sinister. Then we have the chapel, a Roman Catholic chapel. Again, this is a hotel that is open to the public when these conferences aren't taking place. And people I would imagine, I can't be sure, but I would imagine, have their whole wedding there, and so there's a chapel for them to get married in. Catholic country, there it is. But once we look at that chapel, again we see a lot of ancient mystery symbolism there. The stained glass windows are always a giveaway, aren't they? So if you have a look at some of those, you'll see the sun wheel, the ancient mystery sun wheel for sun worship. You'll see pentagrams, which is highly Luciferian satanic symbols. You will see eight-sided stars, that's the Islamic star, or the square within the square. And for the Star of David, that's a triangle that's got another triangle over it. So once you get these shapes, geometrical shapes on top of each other, again, that's ancient mystery symbolism for sexual intercourse. So we see the eight-sided star there. You see a Roman Catholic mitre, a bishop's mitre or the Pope's mitre, and the stole. And remember, we had King Charles have his special stole, and it had the double keys on his stole, meaning he was totally owned by the papacy. And this stole in this stained glass window in this hotel just has crosses on it. Again, the cross traditionally is a satanic symbol. We take it in as a Christian symbol since Jesus died. But that's why they crucified him, because it's a highly satanic symbol. The Son of God that was going to bring freedoms to the individual and to nations. Got to deal with that. Another mysterious thing there in this stained glass window, there is a crown of thorns. But then further down you see a head which straight away you think, oh, that's John the Baptist, because we have to take off his head. That's got a lot of symbolism as well, which is why a lot of popes use the name John. A lot of ancient mystery organizations will use the word John in there, like St. John's Ambulance, and they have the Cross of Malta there. All ties into the Vatican and ancient mystery religion. So I thought, oh, that'll be John. No, because he also is wearing a crown of thorns. So they've got the head of Jesus down there, but that beheading is a symbol of victory. So that's a little bit odd and a little bit sinister. And of course you see the ribbons and you see the wreaths, the laurel wreaths there in this as well. And that harks back to ancient mystery religion, clearly, the ancient worship of the god. We see the ribbon in the big mural in the UN and their building there in their security chamber, that all these loose laurels and ribbons, they all speak of the snake or Satan. So where did the Bilderbergers originate from? The Bilderberger group. It had its very first meeting at Hotel Bilderberg. And the reason they did this, because it was the Nazis' last victory before World War II ended. So this was a very important victory. And the Allies were commencing with what was known as Operation Market Garden in 1944. And they were taking 9 bridges in the Netherlands. But they were sabotaged. They were sabotaged by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, who was a Nazi. He wears his Nazi uniform, so, he was a Nazi. And it's suspected a double agent. So it looked like he was kind of wanting his country back to freedom. But no, he was clearly moving towards that one world order with the one world religion. So he also collaborated with the British general, who they moved their troops in different manners on the day of this airstrike to take out these bridges. And the German troops won the day. Sabotaged. The British pilots sabotaged by Prince Bernhard and British generals in control of that operation. So what they're wanting is the new Fourth Reich. We know Germany, Nazi Germany, Hitler's Germany was the Third Reich. So this is talking about Rome, by the way. We've got pagan Rome. That was the First Reich. Then we've got what would be known as Christian Rome, Papal Rome. That was the Second Reich. But of course, Protestant Christianity infiltrated everywhere, even into the hearts of Catholic churches. So the hierarchy had to deal with that. Hence, we have Germany working for the Vatican to have that sorted. That's the Third Reich. Now we have the Fourth Reich, which is the New World Order, which is what Bilderberger is all about. This Fourth Reich was to be brought in through the Pan-Europe and the EEC, but also through the Frankfurt School. I go into all what I'm talking about today in my book, We Are Revolting. Protestant West is the thorn in their side, it's the stone in their shoe, and they need to take out the Christian West, and then they will be able to bring in this Fourth Reich fully in. Now, you remember straight after World War II, the CIA was created along with the FBI. The CIA was manned along with the FBI by Nazis that were smuggled out of Germany just at the end and after World War II. The Nazis filled the CIA. The Nazis filled the FBI. So they just carried on with their eugenics and mind programming. This is the CIA. This is the Nazis. Just bringing in the Fourth Reich. I like to see it this way, that World War II never finished. It just went underground and run out of the city of London. That square mile inside Greater London that is not owned by Britain. It is owned by the Jesuits. It is owned by the Vatican. So this was, instead of the Vatican moving in as they did with the Dark Ages, they decided we'll have a different institution, people won't know it, we'll come in a Trojan horse, we'll rebrand ourselves for world dominance. The Third Reich came into power. Let's just have a look at this, because it's the same movers and shakers that brought the Third Reich. So in 1928, the papal nuncio in Germany led a Catholic centre party to the far right. So they infiltrated and they brought that party to the far right. I might just say there is no thing as far right. If you go far right, that means total freedom. Once you start having to look at oppression, once oppression starts, fascism, people say is far right. No, fascism is left. Far right is total freedom. It's just nice to have that control of the narrative and use that Hegelian dialectic to control we the people, to keep us from not being too nationalistic. Oh, we can't be far right. Mussolini was not far right. Mussolini was far left. He was a dictator. Infiltrated the Centre Party, and they started promoting Hitler to stardom. Now, some people say, oh, but they killed and murdered the communists. That's right. Collateral damage here. We've got to look like we're the people that, or the party that we want people to vote for. Collateral damage. Many, many priests were murdered. Many, many nuns were murdered. Collateral damage. So it was in 1929 that Pope Pius XI disbanded the Catholic-led Centre Party to allow Hitler to rise in his popularity so he could start his nationalist party. And at that same time, they were getting Benito Mussolini all organised to start his fascist party in Italy. At that same time, in return for Mussolini getting in, the Vatican signed the Lateral Treaty at that time, and the Concordant, allowing the private Vatican state to be born inside the borders of Italy. Just like the City of London is not owned by Great Britain, Vatican City inside Italy is not owned by Italy. The same with Washington, D.C. inside America. It is not owned by America. It is owned by the Vatican. So around that time in 1929, the papacy became that political power, and we started seeing that on the world stage, and it was Pope Pius XI. He was crowned sovereign ruler of the world, because the papacy is a sovereign. He is a king. He has his own realm, the Vatican City. But worse, he claims by birthright, because he is Osiris, the ancient mystery religion god Osiris, that is Satan. He is Osiris in this world, so therefore he is God. And each pope claims to be God. Once we get to the end of World War II, we have a Jesuit coadjutor known as Prescott Bush, the House of the Bush family, senior and junior presidents of the United States. They made their crazy millions through World War II, helping to channel money and equipment to Nazi Germany, the same as they did for Stalin, Lenin, and then Stalin's Russia. Now, the day Hitler was pronounced dead, I personally believe he escaped. There's a lot of references that his double was murdered and burnt. It seems to me that he got through to South America with Operation Paperclip and up into America. This is what Franco, the Spanish dictator, said of Adolf Hitler the day he died. This is Franco. Quote, Adolf Hitler, the son of the Catholic Church, died while defending Christianity. Now, that's not Protestant Christianity. I think we've established that, haven't we? They're just, ancient mystery religion has a fine Christian veneer over it. Esoteric Catholicism is Mithraism. Not only that, but the Vatican itself gave Hitler a high requiem mass for his services in advancing the Roman Catholic rule. So after World War II, Schellenberg, a former chief counter-espionage, he says this, the SS organization is that Gestapo have been constituted by Himmler according to the principles of the Jesuit order. Their regulations and their spiritual exercises prescribed by Ignatius of Loyola were the model Himmler tried to copy exactly. Ancient mystery religion. The Reichsfuhrer SS Himmler's title as Supreme Chief of the SAS was equivalent of the Jesuit General, or we also know as the Black Pope. And in fact, he became the Black Pope. Hitler was a Catholic insider who gave lip service to Christianity because he knew that if he just kept under covers, he would bring in this ancient mystery one world religion. He said this is Hitler, quote, the old beliefs will be brought back again, ancient mystery religion. The whole secret knowledge of nature, of the divine, of the demonic, we will wash off the Christian veneer and bring out a religion peculiar to our race. In 1940, Edward the Eighth, he abdicated from the throne to marry Mrs. Simpson, who didn't want to marry him, but that's what happens when you play a high stakes game. You go too far with it, you have to sleep in the bed you made, and that's what she had to do. But he abdicated, not because he married a double divorced woman. No, he abdicated because he was a Nazi. And they had to get rid of him because Britain was clearly winning the war, and so they had to get rid of him pretty quickly. He said it would be tragic for the world if Hitler was overthrown, being the right man at the right time for Germany. So you can see they couldn't have him there. The monarchy, and I think we saw that with the esoteric signalling in King Charles III's coronation that he is the king of the one world order. They don't care. They don't care if people become republic or countries become republic within the Commonwealth, because they're all about being sovereigns of the one world nation as it is. Now, after the war, he was interviewed, Edward the Eighth. Well, he was called the Duke by then, I do believe. He said this, we cannot have another Versailles. Whatever the outcome, a new world order is going to come into the world. It will be buttressed by police power. That's right, you've got to keep the people under control via the police and the threat of death. When the peace comes, that's their peace, order out of chaos. When the peace comes, this time there is going to be a new order of social justice. Don't make any mistake about it. He was in on it. All the elites are. All of them. We know already that our rule of law is disappearing. What are we hearing the elites saying, including our ex-comrade of New Zealand, Ardern? They're talking about a rules-based order. This is the new order of social justice. It will be their rules. It will change. Very, very dangerous. Here's another quote. This is Franz von Papen, 1879 to 1969, Roman Catholic Knight of Malta, controlled by the Jesuit order. He is Chancellor of Germany in 1932 and Vice-Chancellor under Hitler from 1933 to 1934. This is what he said, quote, "The Third Reich is the first power which not only recognizes but puts into practice the principles of the papacy." In that case, we better have a look and see again in this video what esoteric Catholicism looks like. Nazi Germany was a convergence of the Venetians. I talk about that in We Are Revolting. Follow them up. And a combination with them, ancient bloodlines with Aryan ancient bloodlines. Embraced, and we see that embraced in the swastika, which was the symbol for their movement, for the Nazi movement. That swastika is also known as the sun cross. Doesn't matter which way it goes, there's two. One's feminine, one's masculine. Doesn't matter. The crooks go this way for the masculine and this way for the feminine. And this movement was funded by the papacy. So we know that the very emblem that they established themselves on was ancient mystery, esoteric ancient mystery religion. Now the Bilderbergers initiatives, let's just read some of those here. Global cities movement, we're under those right now, 15-minute cities, etc. We're already feeling the oppression of the New World Order creeping in. They've done the global grid, so that when they crush the sovereign states, sovereign nations, they can bring in the national states. They have created sister cities that you see everywhere. Smart cities, that's them. Feminist cities, resilient cities, sub-national cities. So let me finish on just one last quote now, and this is by Dorothy Cummings McLean. This is her writing in the News Catholic Church, June 2018. Quote, "The Bilderberger meetings have been used as a forum for world elites since 1954 to further their vision for the world. Attendees are free to use information from the discussions. Since his election in 2013, Pope Francis has backed globalist causes. Parolin will be the first guest from Vatican City to ever attend a Bilderberg meeting. The Cardinal is one of the most powerful curial officials and has been regarded by the Vatican watchers as positioned to succeed Francis. Parolin has asserted that Pope Francis's teachings represents a paradigm shift for the Church, the Roman Catholic Church. He was involved, along with the Vatican, in the hire of the pro-gay law firm that sought to shut down a Catholic website critical of Pope Francis. And that's what it's like today in this cancel culture. If you don't run with the narrative, you will be shut down. Goodbye. My YouTube channel of nearly 100 videos terminated at the beginning of 2021. That's how you deal with people that are contrary to the moving forward, the rollout. Yes, it is a military rollout because the Jesuits are a military order. The rollout of this new world order. It is up to us to stand up and fight back while we can. Thank you very much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bless you.